As you may know, I've started a new element of this podcast where from time to time we take one pop culture topic and break it down in a chatcast format. Today, I sit down with frequent guest and one of my favorite humans, Cindy Robinson, and our friend Rob Roseman, the host of the popular WTF Divorce podcast and Instagram account. Our topic today, teen screens and parenting through it all. And while this show will always be free to listen to on whatever platform you're on, it certainly isn't free to create. And if you'd like to listen to all the episodes ad-free, get exclusive content, build a community, and support my work as a creator, you can become a member of Culture Changers for as little as a few dollars a month at patreon.com/Culture Changers. Here is our chat. All right, for our next installment of Culture Clash, the chatcast format episode, where we take one pop culture topic and break it down. And today we are talking about screens and kids and social media. And I'm looking at two people who look like they're ready to burst right now. I've got frequent guest co-host Cindy Robinson. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Love having you. And our guest co-host, Rob Roseman, host of the WTF Divorce podcast and brand.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back.
I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn from Cindy and you and how we can figure out this world of screens. As I stare at my screen and yell at my kids to put their screens down, I'm not doing it right.
Yeah, I relate to that. And I'm looking at two people that specialize in parenting in some way, shape, or form. Cindy, tell us.
Oh, how do I?
Yeah.
I mean, I argue, does anyone specialize in parenting right now? But I do spend a lot of time thinking about it. And yeah, I guess I'm mostly focused around teens and the teen and young adults' failure to launch or, stressed out teens. So that's who I mostly work with. But you kind of have to end up learning about parenting if you're going to be learning about that.
You have a big focus specifically on your social media on not just teens and parents, but mental health in general. And I love, and I'll just throw this out for you, is that this whole started when you had gotten the information on how high the suicide rates were in teenagers and were so activated that you're like, I have to do something. And it's gotten into something that is really powerful and really, really helping. So thank you for being here again.
Thank you for saying that.
And then Rob, who is a newly divorced. Is it newly divorced?
2 years. My divorce anniversary was a few months ago, so my honeymoon is over. But yes, I am only an expert in the fact that I have 3 kids under 10, so I am certainly no expert, but I'm watching firsthand how, as they grow up and they're around screens and they're buying skins and these things that I literally had zero.
What is skins?
Yeah, so skins are you used to play video games like Super Mario Brothers. You'd buy the game and it would cost you $50 and that would be it. Well, now when you buy a game, if you want a cool outfit, they'll push a button and $9 will get charged on your credit card because you want to look cool. And while I used to roll my eyes at this kind of stuff, I'm just learning this is just the reality of the world today, in the same way that you might want to wear cool Nike shoes. They want to have this online. So as a quick check, as I saw my credit card one time get run up a bill that even the number today makes me shudder. I got a lot to learn, and I feel like we're only getting started with this.
You know what's so funny is I remember growing up in my house when you would call non-local, and then my parents would get these ridiculous phone bills for me calling somebody 2 towns over. But because it was out of that, I wonder if this is the new iteration of it. But I will say that I don't know if I would call you an expert, but you are very deep in this field, that you have a podcast dedicated to divorce and the family unit, but also Dad the Best I Can, where it's really important to you to, I don't know if it is getting it right or just learning more or being more of a relatable source or force in the community to kind of shed light on it.
Yeah, I don't think I started it because when I had very young kids, none of my friends talked about being a dad. There was a ton of mom content out there that I couldn't really relate to, and I was wondering, and then my friends were like, oh yeah, I go through the same thing. So talking to dads, I was talking to like entrepreneurs like Jesse Itzler and CEOs of companies that are dads too, and hearing them going through the same challenges that I was really like made it feel a lot more relatable and made me feel like I'm not on this island that I think being a parent and a dad can be like.
Do you feel like it is somewhat rare to have a man as outspoken or a dad as outspoken on these topics when it is, you know, as you said, kind of saturated by female voices?
I think this generation of dads in particular is more involved than ever. So we've had this kind of leap where like, well, now we're home with the kids a lot more. Now we're doing all these things, but we don't really have this foundation and community around it. So I think you're seeing a lot more guys talking about it, but I think it's important because, you know, especially when guys hit their 40s, like it gets a little slippery. And if you don't have people to talk to or understand that like what you're going through as a dad or your kids' problems that, you know, Cindy's talking about are not as unusual as you think, you know, yeah, it's very important to connect with other people. So I hope the conversation continues for guys.
I'm such a big fan of this because I feel like in general, men are not raised to express a full range of emotions except anger and happiness, you know, and to have more of this. So thank you for your part in that. But today we're talking about screens and kids and social media. And apparently dick pics that our kids are getting.
Oh, the kids, all right. Right. Adults, do what you want.
Not a tutorial.
Right. Do what you want. I think what's so funny is that I've got a girlfriend who is newly divorced, and I hope she's listening because she's going to be mortified. But she will send me, she's dating, and she'll send me the dick pics that she gets. I invite them, by the way.
Yes.
I think dick pics
What's your
were not
contact info? Right.
I think you know, dick pics when I was dating my husband weren't really a thing, you know, back then. So I kind of missed that boat, but I think it's hilarious from my point. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't imagine my kid getting it. And I know Cindy's giving the side eye so hard right now because Cindy does a lot of homework and research around porn and kids. And holy shit, what do you normally hear when a parent, when you say, you know, your kid's probably going to see porn? What do you always hear immediately?
This is not going to be very uplifting, but no, the not my kid syndrome is a big problem in my world and trying to educate parents. I get a lot of people who just kind of turn me off or never even listen to what I'm saying because they think, oh, not my kid. And they imagine what they think someone who would look at porn or who would ask for nudes looks like, and it looks like a very different child than their own. But no, I mean, it's not a matter of if but when it comes to porn access. So your kids will access porn, whether it be on the devices that you've given them or their friends' devices. It's just way too accessible. Porn sites make more money, first of all, than Google, Amazon, and Apple combined.
That's insane.
And the sites are visited more frequently than it's like Amazon, Pinterest.
Isn't it like Instagram, Facebook,
yeah,
TikTok, all combined?
So if
LinkedIn?
If you think you're going to raise a kid that's never going to hear of Facebook, Instagram, or Pinterest, then maybe you have it like you're churning
Amish,
your butter.
Right?
Yeah,
You're Amish.
Good for you. I'm very happy for you, but you know, no, your kid's going to access it, and the average age that they're going to access it is now 9. The average. I want to be real clear about that average age. So usually,
I'm thinking about the chains I'm going to put on my son.
But are you going to put them on his friends and all their devices? Right?
Yes.
But yeah. So no, the stats are very clear. So I try to say it as frequently and loudly as possible. Like your kid's gonna see porn. It's not a matter of how do we even. You have to have a conversation of how to make that as late in their life or as infrequently as possible, but you really have to have a plan for how you're actually going to prepare them for that they inevitably will see.
And how could you even, right? I always say our generation of parenting is harder in a lot of ways than many before, because their parents before were not getting this. It was maybe like a Playboy magazine, under the dumpster or something that like, or when your kids go to camp.
Where did you grow up, Rob?
In a trailer park, right? But yeah, I mean, like going to camp, you would see things like from a friend, but right, they have phones full time. They're going to see it. And the little that I've learned, and we're just entering that phase, we're not there yet, but like that you do need to be very open about it, kind of counterintuitive. You need to have these uncomfortable talks, because that is going to be the most effective thing than shaming them or saying, don't look at this, or, having the right words and scripts even. So I'm not ready to have those conversations, but I know that when the time comes, like I need to practice them before I do.
How
Cindy
old are
looks
your
like
kids?
she's ready to pounce.
I'm about to
Cindy's
ask, how old
ready.
are your kids?
Well, when we are pretty 10, 8, 5,
Yeah.
they're probably, and they just went to sleepaway camp, so who knows what they're seeing there. But we have, their mom and I are pretty open about things. Like we talk, they know where babies come from, all these things that a lot of people don't talk about. So we started down that line, but yeah, the accessibility to stuff that is like our brains like can't even handle, and to mortifying to think our kids would see, that's a reality. So like it's on us to figure out how to at least guide them so they don't end up completely off the rails.
Yeah. Did you have?
You look like you were ready to pounce.
No. It does come. Yeah, you're having, like you said, you're talking openly about bodies and sex and things like that. You want to be talking openly about the normal, like human anatomy and how babies are made, even. And great books. I always try to throw resources out there because I needed a script, because I was raised where you do not talk about that. And in fact, a funny story is my mom had signed me up for this class that an OBGYN, who was just a parent at the school I went to, was hosting a class about learning about sex and stuff. And we sat down, and about 5 minutes into it, he said something about pubic hair. And she was like, "Get up, we're getting out of here." And I was like, we didn't even make it past pubic hair. Like, I'm having all kind of feelings. And now all I learned was the word. I just remember hearing pubic hair. And she was like, "We're out of here. This isn't what I thought it was going to be." I think she thought it was just going to be like a wait till marriage class or something. But anyway, going from that to like trying to raise a son who's very sex positive and very informed on his body, I needed a script. So I do say the Robbie M. Harris books, there's 3 of them. From one is like from 3 to 5. One of them's from like 5 to 8, and the other is
What's
like
the
8
name
and
of the
up.
author?
Robbie M. Harris. And It's So Amazing is the one that's come into mind now. I think that's the middle tier one. But I mean, I bought those books when he was 5, and I read that one to him first over and over and over again. And it's a script. So if you have a hard time saying some of these things, but you've laid that groundwork, you want to first educate them on that, and then you can get into porn. by the time I would say,
and you can open the door on
they're 8, 7, 8, they need to know what porn is, and it needs to be like a boring word. Like if you say porn around the house, everybody's like, "Oh, here we go. We're going to talk about porn again."
I am behind on this.
Most people are.
Yeah. So I've got a 9 and a 7-year-old, and my kids just got a Nintendo Switch last Christmas, and somehow we were able to make it without screens. They don't have iPads. And my son is like a master Minecraft kid right now. And so he continually talks about how he's doing good because he's building. There's no killing. There's no violence, so he's trying to sell it to us. But then he's on my daughter, who is really into Huggy Wuggy. Do you guys know what Poppy Playtime is?
Yes.
So Poppy Playtime is this, I guess it's some rinky-dink video game that's played on a phone. And it's this blue creature with a creepy face that kills people. And she has an entire collection of Huggy Wuggy dolls, like plushies that she loves. And she saw it on a YouTube thing, and she will watch for hours on YouTube. So my son will complain, like, "Juliana's watching too much YouTube, right, Mom?" And I, like you, Rob, am like, I got shit to do. I don't I can't police this all the time, and And we tell them, get off your screens, get off your screens. But I talk to my husband, I'm like, they're designed to keep them addicted. It is not their fault. And it is on us, and I don't know what that balance is of discipline and, kind of teaching them about it.
Yeah. So hard because I'm on my phone too, telling them to get off their screen. Yeah. So the hypocrisy alone is just like
I
enough
needed to finish a Facebook post.
Yeah, sorry, I'm
before they interrupted me.
I'm retweeting a meme. Can you turn off Mr. Beast videos? Yeah, it's like, so that gets in our heads too. But the one thing and I'm not even great at this, is like they're gonna watch. At least be aware of what they're watching. Which sometimes I'll come in, I'll be like, "What is that? No, turn it off." And if it's annoying and stupid, that is still okay for them to watch, but they're so quickly can cross a line to stuff that I'm like, not appropriate. And, you parents before didn't have to deal with this. You had 5 channels. Now you have YouTube, which will put in front of your kids. They're not even choosing it. Like these very addictively compelling things that might be inappropriate. And now my kids walk around, can recite like memes and stuff, which I think is good for their like comedy brain, like they're hilarious. But I guess what I've learned,
as long as they're cool at school.
I mean, they're definitely cool, right? The stuff that they say, but yeah, it's on me to at least like know what they're watching, and then as I'm sure Cindy can talk about, like let them know if you see something inappropriate, that's okay, but just tell me. Or I'm not sure.
Even know.
I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's like what they're watching more than they're gonna watch.
Yeah. And I'm going to just keep saying it. It's going to happen. So how do we prepare for this inevitable reality? And not even just porn, but they'll access really troubling mental illness content.
Can you explain that more? So what does that look like, and how would that get in front of our kids?
Yes, I would love to explain, because I hear this same path every single time, and I'm like, this is how this happens.
There should be like exposure therapy where like parents get like 20 minutes of clips. This is what your kids are watching, and then you'll leave like, oh my God, I do need to pay attention
Amish,
to this.
Right?
Yeah, and I think on some level, parents have this looming like feeling about that, and it's so scary that you kind of deny it, or you kind of avoid finding out. Trust me, but I think the main things first is like, what are you looking for? And then I want to explain how your kids are finding it. So maybe you're encouraged to to take the steps to mitigate that as much as you can. The main thing is porn, obviously. That's a biggie. Everybody's thinking about porn when they think about what they don't want their kid to see. And yeah, it shapes their idea of sexuality. And this ain't no Playboy magazines. This is like people peeing on each other, like all kind of kinky stuff. So
gotta clear my search history.
You left your computer open there. But no, this ain't your like Hugh Hefner porn. I would be thrilled to hand these kids
Isn't
a Playboy.
Isn't it crazy that was tame?
Oh yeah, that's tame.
Now we have babysitter porn.
It's all over. And hentai, which is a type of Japanese porn. And it's like, so your kid, you think my kid's into anime, and they're like actually watching porn. But there's that. Everybody's like, oh yeah, porn. The other big trap for kids on screens is the mental illness aspect, where a lot of content is really dark. There's a lot of content explaining cutting and how to cut and how it helps ease your anxiety, as if it's a tutorial on dealing with in a healthy way. Coping tools. There's like Tourette's has risen like 200% in the last couple of years, because there was a TikTok trend about, how to give yourself Tourette's, and now these girls are having.
Seriously?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's ask literally any psychiatrist, and they're seeing Tourette's. I'm seeing it at my door. It's rampant, and it wasn't even like a thing.
Holy God.
Also, what isn't a thing that now is a thing is teen males and young adult males with erectile dysfunction. That is now.
Wait, that's a thing that people want?
No, nobody wants that.
That's not a category, Allison.
The porn.
Hey, we all have our fetishes, right?
Basically, their porn addiction has resulted in them not being able to like engage in a healthy sexual experience, and so now that's more often what the doctors are seeing than like older men that you would typically see with erectile dysfunction. Now they're seeing more or the same amount of teens and young males. So like the mental illness, the porn, and then sort of just the addictive nature, the way that it really is capitalizing on their brain being in the middle of a development and being a part of that wiring process. So you're helping, like the screen is like, let's show you how to wire this brain so that it is dependent on this device or these skins. If you look at games like Fortnite and Apex and stuff like that, like you said, you buy the game, but now it's all these different things you buy in addition to it. And the way that they release the items, the way it's all done is very like dopamine constantly. So those are sort of that's like the three main things that why you care. Like, why does it matter? Screens aren't hurting anybody. And most people think of porn. Some of them think of the addiction, but people don't always talk about the mental illness part, and that's actually huge. Eating disorders, everything from because of Instagram, comparing filtered faces, all these things are capitalizing on kids when they're vulnerable and exploiting those vulnerabilities to have a lifelong customer. But it's at the expense of, if they're even going to make it that long, because it's bad. So that's it. Did you? I don't want to just be doom and gloom, but
I was about to say, I'm about to crawl under the table.
You're all screwed.
Where are y'all at right now with this?
You can contact Cindy at.
But I would like to gauge where you're at just with that.
I think that's important. And the other piece that, and we talk about like when we were kids, I remember AOL was a new thing, and even like you could get you would pay by the minute. So I remember getting in trouble because I ran up like a $350 bill once because I was on for 700 minutes in a row or something. But I think the other scary part, and I imagine more so with girls, is like the predatory nature of it. That's our real like terrifying fear is I got a 15-year-old daughter that's communicating with people. It's not even just what they're consuming. So I think that's the scariest part, is that people are
the grooming.
Yeah, or just, and again, it's like we need to acknowledge this, accept it, and then figure out how to deal with it, than just bury our heads in sand, because that's what, is probably the worst thing that we can do, because then it's going to happen and we're just going to be in denial about it. So that's what we're here for, is to learn like how to have those conversations or what are things we can do. And I know there's like technology even that you can just patch onto your phone, like the Bark, sponsored by Bark, but that we can do, like little tools that we can use to help, because it's a lot for a parent to have to figure all this out.
Yeah, that is kind of usually the natural next thing to say, is like, I needed to freak everybody out, right? And then you really have to say, but this was not your problem, and this is not your kid's problem. Like, this is a big tech issue. So it's not your fault that you didn't know this stuff. It's not accessible information. That it would be ideal if that was put right in front of you, those stats, every time you go to open Instagram, and it said suicide rates in girls have gone up ever since, this much %. But they don't really want us to have that information. So it's not on parents. But it's definitely not on kids. So if you think of like the hierarchy of who this falls on, it's big tech first. Then unfortunately it does have to kind of fall on you, the burden, and then the kids don't get the burden. So like if your kid accesses porn, I say we don't punish for porn. Okay, my kid's seen it. We didn't punish for it. It means it's time to have a conversation. It means they need more support from you. But don't punish for any of this stuff, because it's not designed for their brains. It's designed to make addicts for life. It's
barely designed for our brains.
Yeah, it's actually not. Yeah, it's screwing all of us up. But yeah, conversation is really like, your main things are, first you have to be rooted in the conversations at home, and the best thing you can do is just talk about everything. So anything that you might see online, before you're letting your child on there, you want to have that be something you told them about, because as human nature, wherever we first hear about something, we deem that person the expert. And if you think about that, you do that. Like whoever first told you about like sourdough baking, now they're the one you call every time of like, what's going on with my sourdough loaf?
That's never come up in conversations for me.
Clearly I'm the only one who's into sourdough. But so unfortunately, it's on you to talk about not just porn, but sexploitation and dick pics and nudes and these words. You have to be the one who defines those words.
By the way, can I just throw you a plug that on Cindy's social media account, she has these like words that are going around, and I guess teenage words or whatever. and then defines them. And so go to Cindy Robinson LLC's Instagram account, because even nudes, what is this spelled? NOODS?
Yeah, or now they just send the emoji with the plate of spaghetti.
Oh, that's what's going on. I got one of those. I didn't know. I thought they were hungry. Wow.
Who is texting you, Rob?
They wanted to go out for.
8-year-olds.
You thought they want to go out for pasta.
Right. I thought he just liked eggplant. I was like, oh.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're savvy though. Yeah. So I always want to ask. You always hear this like in theory, and then we like nod our heads. But like, could you do almost like a script? Like, how would that conversation look? I can pretend to be the 11-year-old kid. It's like,
ooh, I'm into this.
because
Get a bag
because
of
that's the
popcorn.
thing. It's like teaching about it for me. It like kind of goes in one ear out the other. But if it's like, here's how you could say it. Like, hey, I've always heard come at it with like a curiosity as a good way, but again, like if I don't know the words to say and write it down right now, I'm gonna probably just procrastinate on it or something like that.
Yeah, you'll be standing over them like, never mind. I can't do this. Well, everybody needs to use their own authentic parent voice in their conversations. So I do want to say, if you hear one script and you're like, that's nothing I could ever say to my child, keep looking, find somebody that resonates with you. For me, humor is everything. Like, that's how I have and process uncomfortable feelings and things. So it's based in humor. So no, 100%. I was like asking about nudes and things like that. The conversation with my son is very much like, I have another thing I learned about that I have to talk to you about. And he's like, oh God, here we go. And I'm like, so trying to think of a term or whatever the last thing was, but let's just use nudes, because that's one everybody's going to have to say at some point. And so I'm going to say, I basically was like, we have to talk about nudes. And he already knew what it was. And he was probably 10 when I'm saying that to him, and he already knew what nudes were. So I was already too late. But he's like, I already know. And I'm like, no. Like, we have to have a deeper conversation about that. And it's in a more joking manner, right? So what questions do you think an 11-year-old would have about nudes? And I'll kind of tell you how I'm framing it.
Okay, well, what's wrong with that? That's our bodies. Why can't we be naked? People want to show that. What's wrong with that?
Yes, and I am all about sex positivity, but you do have to keep in mind that that's permanent record. And like, it's really, really, really common that even if you love that person right now, or even if you feel very private with that person now, if you piss them off, then I'll remember that kid that was your best friend that year, and then it turned out y'all were worse enemies by the end of that year, they can take that and send it all over the world. And so privacy is privacy. And also, let's read the room. Do you want their parents to see that? And it's illegal, by the way, to send. It's child pornography. So if that's your phone that you paid for and it's in your name and it has nude pictures of children on it, then there's a legal case against you. So just kind of piling on. But then where the humor and the stuff comes in is going forward. I'm just like, you're not like, there's no nudes. Like if he's getting close with someone and they're getting romantic, I'm like, no nudes, and he's able to laugh because it's not something his mom has not said 10,000 other times. Do you know what I mean?
So just breaching the conversation is, you're in the 90th percentile just by even talking about it. Then they're not afraid to, I guess, come to you and say, have that conversation.
Yeah, because a big thing is sexploitation, where somebody gets a nude and then they use that nude against them to get other. And this is usually from strangers, but friends do it too. And they use that nude to say, send me $500, or if you don't send me a more explicit photo, I'm going to release this photo to all your friends. And they'll like hack into your email, they'll get your password or something like that.
This sounds like an ABC after school special though. And I'm coming at this from somebody who has kids that don't have phones yet. So the not my kid syndrome is kind of coming up hard. So how do we explain it in a way, like, I don't know. I guess I don't know when and how. For younger ages.
Yeah. So how would Allison, whose kids don't have phone, they're probably not there yet. How would she open that conversation?
Their friends might have phones, but I don't think so yet. But I'm sure it's happening soon.
Well, and your daughter's watching YouTube, and if
Yes.
she's not watching YouTube Kids, and even that has loopholes, she'd probably come across more than you might know. Because when I was saying earlier, how does all this work?
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, these kids who access porn at 8 or 9 or whatever do it by accident. They're watching YouTube, and YouTube suggests, and it's gotten so much worse with YouTube Shorts because it's faster, shorter. So the algorithm kind of pigeonholes them even faster than it did with full videos. So they come across the video, especially if she likes like more grown up, this Huggy Bear,
Wuggy.
Fuzzy Wuzzy, whatever his name is. Then a joke. This is how this goes. Something will come up on a YouTube, and they'll say something like a blowjob. And then the kid's like, I don't know what that word means. They go straight to Google, what is a blowjob? And next thing you know, they're saturated with images of blowjobs. And they're like, woo, my brain's designed to be curious about everything I don't know. And I've never seen this, and this makes me feel things. And next thing you know, they're on like hardcore porn sites. That's how it almost always happens. Or they're perusing on Pinterest, and porn is terrible on Pinterest.
It's for real?
Yeah,
On
yeah.
Pinterest?
One of the worst. Yeah. But
For real?
Yes.
Well, they're going to put it where eyeballs are, right? They I guess people know that if the kids are searching Huggy Wuggy, they're going to make titles that look kind of like that. So,
but you basically, when you're starting out, like you want to have it like that. You want your kids to have learned about their bodies from like you don't want them to have a memory of when they didn't know that they had a vagina or a penis and where babies come from and all that. But either way, you want to be talking about all that, and then when you're letting them on these devices, you need to say, listen, there's people out there that look at all kind of crazy stuff that's really unhealthy for you to look at. And so here are examples. It's going to be people naked. It's going to be like, you have to go through that. And you have to say, do you have questions? And like, do you want to talk about this?
Because I don't have answers.
Well, who's good at this, actually, to plug another resource, is Chris McKenna at Protect Young Eyes. He's great at framing. I'm better at the teens, right? But he is great at how to break down those conversations. And he's got great, like, kid came to you and saw nudes, 3 steps, or find nudes on, or find porn on the laptop. Here's what you do. It's great. But use people as a script. But honestly, you don't want to, if you can't talk about it, like if you have a not my kid syndrome, then you need to ensure that's not going to be your kid, which means they need to not have the ability to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be betting your kids seen things that you.
I'm sure 100%. I just don't know how, like to talk about sending nudes when they don't really have a phone kind of thing yet.
They know people can be naked, and you can inform them, that people for some reason want to share naked pictures of themselves online, and it's actually not really good for you to see that. And if you've been talking about sex and how babies are made, you've been talking about that's like a romantic connection that people have together, and that's about, like, first you have a relationship, and then you both consensually go into this stuff, and then you but you wouldn't just want to watch other people, right? Like that's gonna mess up your idea of what that's supposed to be. And explaining to them, this is not what sex looks like that's what I had to say 1,000,000 times in my house. This is not what sex looks like. Because it's not for the vast majority of people, and certainly not for budding new romance relationships, teenagers,
But let me ask you, as like what I'm sure is a curious, probably horny 15-year-old kid, why, like, it seems like you were just throwing almost like punishments at them, like somebody might exploit you or do this, but it also is the reality, and kids will be having sex when they're 16, 17. How can that conversation look where it's also like kind of constructive, where we are talking about it instead of fear-based, like you don't want somebody to do this with you or do that, and that's better than nothing for sure, but like how do we also talk about
I guess it's like protecting the body, like making sure the body is sacred and that it sets them up for healthy relationships physically. Is that
right? Because we do want to teach them that, like, this is, you're not going to say you're never going to do this or these things. So like that line gets kind of blurred, and with a curious kid, they're going to be confused as to like, but I thought this is okay. And so yeah, how do you address like that without just being like, don't do this because this will happen? All right, we're done here. That's not going to work on my kids.
I really appreciate that question, because it means you want to have sex positive kids.
Yes.
Like, you don't want kids to think sex is evil and bad, which is what a lot of us thought, I'm sure. And it only just makes it worse.
Right.
No, and that's perfect. So yeah, I'm giving you a whole lot of doom and gloom, and because you do have to talk about these things. Or if you don't want to talk about these things, don't give them devices, basically. But, so,
Well, how do you want me to parent it? Come on.
but for
how can I get anything done?
Right. Back to the sex positive, when you are having those sex talks, not the nudes talks, because hopefully that is coming before they're having devices and you're talking about nudes and stuff. Then you do talk about sex when you're teaching your kids about their bodies and how babies are made and stuff. And you want to just from the beginning reiterate, like, because the book is what I love about Robbie M. Harris is she's like, some people have sex and don't want to have babies, and that's okay. But it's a very healthy outlook on what sex should be, which is people consensually connecting together in a unique way than you do with any other type of relationship. So you do want to frame that as like, that's a really beautiful thing. And porn is going to get in the way of you being able to build what that is in your mind, because how it should work is that we should build a relationship with a person, and together with that person decide what feels good and what doesn't, and what feels consensual, like asking for consent, receiving consent. And you want to just build that relationship with that person. And if you have a lot of messages in mind from really violent, like a lot, porn is like 85% violent, particularly against women. So if that is what you have built, and this is why we have this erectile dysfunction issue. So you really want to be like, during your brain development phases, you need to establish what sex is and what your body enjoys on your own, which means masturbate all like crazy. You're going to do it anyway. Like masturbate like crazy, but because it feels good for your body, right? Like what feels good to you. That's what that time is about, learning. And then you meet someone and you connect with them, and then together you work on like what feels nice for each other. And you're not bringing in this idea of what you've seen on screens, because these girls are being asked to do. FYI, first base now is like blowjobs.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because this is like where the boys are at by this point. And so nudes are like a hello, how are you text. Like that's not even asking for nudes. You just do that with any random girl. Oh, that's more
this
like
is turning my stomach.
But you do see like your does that make sense? Does that seem like a feasible thing you could express to like a pubescent?
Yeah, I just think, you need to be careful not to completely just demonize it all, because they're going to. And when you get older, these are things that you're going to explore, but just knowing, or maybe even that girls or boys don't actually like that, even though it's on there. So I don't know. It's also just getting more comfortable with being really uncomfortable, because those are hard talks for us to even have. So doing it with your kid is mortifying.
I think they're knee-jerk reactions that I imagine. I remember my asking my dad. My dad's from Lebanon, so he's got like this thick accent and speaks 5 languages. And I heard the word pervert and said, "Dad, what's a pervert?" And he goes, "It's a crazy person," and just ran out the window, ran out the door. And that was the end of that.
Yep.
This how I remember it was pervert, and then I asked him what scrotum was, and he goes, "They're balls," and then just stormed
he
out.
just leaves every time. No more follow-ups.
No more follow-ups at all. And then, like my mother, I think when I started dating or started liking boys, my mom was trying to sit down and have the sex talk with me. And I'm like, "Mom, no, stop. So I wonder about that resistance from kids. Like, I already know. I'm not going to do that. I think that's probably how we were all raised, if we did have that talk of just something that was very, I got to do this, and here's what it is, and don't do it. And then, any questions? No, fine. And then the resistance is, I don't want to talk. You're so embarrassing. I don't want to talk about that. So I wonder, how do you get through when there is resistance?
Well, there always is. So if I talk to teens on the other end, right? They're coming in and they're kind of telling what's really going on behind that behavior that they're showing their parents. They are listening. They are thirsty for your knowledge. They really want you to talk about these things. They act like they don't, but they do. And they act like they don't want you to hug them too, but they do. They want to know that it's okay. That what they're feeling is normal, that it's not their fault. They want to know that this was hard and that they're not bad people. Or they want to know they've almost always heard of a lot of the things that you think they haven't heard of, and it feels better to get it out in the open at home. So I know you're going to be met with resistance, and they're going to be like, oh my God, shut up. But push past it to the point where it's boring, to the point where when you bring it up, they're like, I know, like that, because you will get to that point if you keep talking about it. And yeah, it seems like you're going to be talking about sex a whole lot in your house. And yeah, I don't know what to tell you. For a period of time, those tween years, like I'd say from, and y'all are not going to like this age range, but I'd say from like 8 to 12, a lot of your conversations, a lot of the stuff that you talk about is saturated in that.
Rob will set up a text line.
Yeah. That'd be a valuable service. Cindy is just on it. What do I say? Just write it for me. Just pretend like you're me.
We'll see about that. But yeah,
That's a good business idea, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if like a default script would be, that's kind of funny too. Something like, oh, guess what I learned about today, or guess what where you kind of depersonalize it, because I think it's like when you don't want to be accusatory, or right. You feel like it is, or they feel like they did something wrong, that instantly puts them on the defensive. Or guess what my friend John's kid did, talking about somebody else, even if it's made up, might like lessen some of the sting.
Yes, and don't talk about that kid like something's wrong with him. Mm-hmm. Like can you believe it? Like it happens to everybody, and that's normal. And if that happens to you, you tell me, because I would if I were a kid in your day, and I said this to my son all the time, if I were a kid in your day, I would have been like so down the rabbit hole of something. Like I probably would have been swept off by a cult by now. So like, don't feel bad about it. This is not their fault. So and then there comes a time though you have to walk the walk, because they inevitably do access it, and you'll start questioning everything.
Well, that's what I wonder, like the knee-jerk reaction when your kid comes home and you find out, whether it's through them telling you or something. Like my friend saw this picture, like, give me your friend's mom's number. You know what I mean? Like there's a knee-jerk reaction to want to cut that off or offer some kind of punishment. And I know intentionally that's not what should happen. So like, I think some of it is like policing ourselves.
Yeah. And to give you a little pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, because I think telling you to not punish for porn, or telling you not to do these things, you're like, okay. And then you're in the moment and you're like, it's freaking hard. And you're wondering why can't I just be mad, or why can't I'm scared or whatever. But, I preserve my son's privacy, but I can share that he got in the pickle, and I was able to follow through and practice what I preach. So I had a very empathetic, hey, this just means you need support. This was too much for you to handle on your own. That's on us. Sorry about that. Let's sit with you. Let's talk it out. Like it's going to be okay. And we took a very empathetic approach. No yelling, no punishing. We sat with him about what can we do together so that we can help protect you more. And that sucked. And in the moment, I wanted to be like, why would you do this? And really behind that was my own insecurities of, how did I fail? This is what I do for a living. How did I fail? And so, but I didn't. And now cutting to years later, that was a pivotal moment. That was when I proved to him that all those millions of times in the kitchen of me going, porn is this and la-di-da-da, and he's like, yeah, whatever. And I said, you can come to us, and this isn't your fault. I talked a big game, but I'd never had to prove it until that moment where I had to say, I meant this. I mean this, and I'm here. We are here for you. That had changed everything about our relationship. So I need people to understand that when you're in that moment where you feel like the worst parent in the world, if you can muster the ability to be that empath that you're supposed to be. I never could have known. I knew that was what I was supposed to do, but I was just blindly doing it because I was like what experts said to do. But then now seeing how the relationship in that moment, it was a turning point in our relationship with him. And now we're so open with each other because now he knows we have his back. It wasn't a bunch of bull in the kitchen about if you see this or if you do that, we'll be okay. Just come to us, la, la, la. We really backed it up. So if that helps people maybe to just be like, even if this happens to you and you feel like you're the worst parent on the planet, no, actually, that's your time to shine and be like, I mean what I was saying. Like, I'm here for you. Now I got your back and you can't make me stop loving you. You know, because that was his thing was like, I didn't want y'all think of me as that kind of person.
I love the you saying the words, "I am here for you. We support you," even when your child, makes an error, whatever that might mean. I couldn't imagine what my life would have been like if that was what I heard, and meanwhile, I would sneak out all the time in my house and, run off and whatever. But I couldn't imagine what our household would be like if those were the words we heard from our parents.
Same. Which is why I'm trying to create that, because shame, remove shame from your house. I say that a lot. You get to choose to do that. Even if there was a lot of shame in your household, it gets to end here. Like, we are not burdened by what we had with us before. So please, just remove shame. There is no shame here. I want to be the place that my child can go to. I want them to want to be caught by me sneaking into the house more than anybody else. You know what I mean? Because I want to be the safe place to fall. I don't want to be the thing that they're scared of or whatever. And it's not to be their buddy. It's character building stuff to say, I don't have to earn your love. You meant it. You genuinely, unconditionally love me.
It's like motivation too. It's like, this is going to be really uncomfortable, but the reward as a parent I'm getting is this trust. That's almost motivation to push through it, even though the easier thing is to scold them or to walk away. That's why we don't have uncomfortable conversations in general, because it's easier. It's harder to say that. It reminds me, I heard, I forget who it was, but she said when she was a teenager, her dad said, "I know you're probably going to be drinking, going to parties." He's like, no matter what happens, I don't want you to drive, and you call me and I will drive wherever it is to pick you up. And he was saying it. Mm-hmm. And then she said one day and he's like, "I'll never tell your mom. I won't scold you for it. I won't punish you, but that's just the rule I want you to have." And then she said one day she did. She was wasted at a party and called him. And he was it was 2 a.m. He was 100 miles away or something.
Oh, wow. He
came to get her. Didn't really talk the whole drive, never brought it up again. Wow. And she's like, that built this, like you said, that trust. He's like, "He never told my mom, he never did anything." I was moving to hear somebody say that. Was a parent walking the walk and saying, "I told you if anything gets in trouble, I got you." And that built that trust in her after that.
I don't know how I feel about that whole scenario. But I wonder about appropriate ages to give devices. I know that it varies, but do you have opinions on that?
I don't have opinions on things, but I have what
data
research would indicate.
Right.
Yeah. And I did loosely walk the walk with this, and it still felt too soon, but generally, you don't want them on any device that you're not actively participating with them on, which would mean you're facing the screen. You don't have to be watching the video, but they need to be sitting next to you. And I mean that because they will sit across that couch and look at all kind of freaky stuff. Let me tell you, with headphones on. But that you don't really want to do that. Anything beyond that. I would really argue 14 is the gold standard. You don't want them to have a personal device of their own until 14. And if you're going to have a personal device, they really need to have screens facing you when they're using them. I know everybody's not even going to listen to that because I've said it forever and it's research based, but nobody does it. But the thing that, at least for the love of a God, is don't have them in private spaces. No devices in bedrooms at night. No devices going into the bathroom.
It's so hard.
No. How's that look? How's that conversation look? You have your screen, but kids going to bed at 10, put your phone in the thing.
Yeah, it needs to come with you because they are stealthy little ninjas.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are lock boxes that you can get that have USB ports in them, and those are great. Those are a gold standard, ideal. But take them and put them somewhere that is right by you, because even just near you in your bedroom, they are stealthy.
Yeah.
Stealthy.
Like the Ferris Bueller, like fake person in the bed.
Yeah, and if you're putting the genie back in the bottle, which is always harder, and it sounds like y'all are more genie out of the bottle people, so
I am. Your genie's still good.
Yeah. You really want to be clear, hey, I got information I didn't have. This isn't a you thing. I'm not punishing you. This isn't because you did something irresponsible, even if they did do something irresponsible. They did something perfectly natural for their brains and bodies. But you want to be clear that you're like, hey, I learned new information and I'm really sorry. I put you at a lot of risk and I didn't know all this. And now that I know it, I want to make safer choices. So here's like what I'm thinking. And I know this will be hard for you. Let's talk about what we can do to make up for the fact that, I'm now taking away something. It feels like I'm taking away a privilege. So, you want to acknowledge. You don't want to just be like, all right, that's it. Give me the iPads and stuff. And what you want to be like, look, I messed up. I thought something and I found out something else. And that's what humans do. When we know better, we do better.
What do you say to parents? So I think we all nod our head and agree with this, like in theory for sure. But like when it's 4:30 a.m. and my daughter's up and I'll give her, it's only YouTube Kids, even though I know that can get slippery too. What do you say to people that are like, oh, the genie's already out of the bed? I give her the phone. I'm just like, please, I need to sleep another hour and a half. Or, as real life parents, unfortunately, these screens exist and they're nice little babysitters for us. Nice to say, don't use your screen as a babysitter, but am I a bad parent because I give my daughter because I want to go back to sleep, like so I can function throughout the day? So that's a disconnect I feel too, is like, and then you talk about like guilt of parenting. I'm giving it to her, so I'm doing something quote unquote bad. Oh, you should never give your kid screens till 14. How do I reconcile like that's happening? It's probably not going to change because I need to sleep past 5:30. Like, I guess I'm just ranting here, but like that's a common thing. I imagine that parents are like, oh, that'd be nice, but that ship has sailed. Yeah,
and I thank you for asking it, because that's kind of when people turn off, right? Like, oh, well, I'm not doing that, so it's too late. And you're right. And remember about the whole hierarchy of who gets the real blame here is big tech. So like the fact that you're in this pickle is not really your fault. This is an impossible situation to navigate.
Yeah, because we can control big tech.
Right. No, we've tried legislature and it always gets shot down. But until then, so first of all, it is a removing the guilt. So no one, just because this is I'm telling you the ideal standard for what we know through research and children's brains and development, doesn't mean you're a horrible parent if you give it to them. Because we know, candy's bad too when we give them that. But I would just say, think of ways to make it a little bit safer. So like that, obviously taking everything away and now you churn butter until they're 14 doesn't feel realistic. But making it the TV, because the options are going to be a lot more limited on TV, and it's a big screen with a loudspeaker so you can hear and pick up on what's being viewed. Make it, turn on the TV instead of the personal device, like really sets it off, and it having web access really like takes things to that next level. So, they could watch maybe a dirty show on Netflix, but you're probably going to hear it in the loudspeaker. So just maybe make those little adjustments of let's try and like keep that solo personal device usage to a minimum. Another good clue is like, since you have brother or sister, you can be like, y'all can use it on, or whatever, where I'm in the kitchen and you're in here, but you both have to watch it together. Because she's not gonna be watching nasty stuff and like with her brother. So, try to think of little creative ways that the whole point is the solo personal device in a private space. You want to get rid of that as much as you possibly can. So just think of like, how can I, that's the goal, and not like, oh, if they do it at all, you're failing, but just how can I limit that as much as possible?
For the parents listening, I'm sure there's a lot of them that it's already kind of off the rails. Like, are they screwed, or you can still curtail it some? And I think that's the thing. People are just like, oh, it's over. But you're saying you can still find little ways to acknowledge it.
Yeah, start having conversations now.
Maybe that, right.
At least so that they hear you say things that they've already witnessed, or that, if you talk about, that they may be watching things, and that doesn't mean anything bad about them. They might be more likely to tell you about it. And so just start where you're at. The genie in the bottle is 10 times harder, but it it's not worth giving up on, because I'm looking on the other side of it a lot. And these kids really wish, even if it was 4 years into porn viewing, they really wish somebody would just come say, like, there's nothing wrong with you, and this is not your fault. So even if you're catching them at 15 and they've been, on screen solo since 6 or 7 and watching things since 7 or 8 that were inappropriate, it's you could be saving a life. Like, the number of kids who commit suicide because they're so ashamed to tell the truth about some situation they're in online or whatever is sky high. So you literally just please start talking, regardless of what they've been exposed to. Just let them know that you know about that thing, and that you wouldn't be ashamed of them, and you wouldn't think differently of them.
What a perfect way to close. And if you want more information, Cindy, holy God, how can people find you?
A bunch of people asking me about porn. I will say,
just DM her eggplant and some noodles, and she'll send you a PDF.
No nudes, please. Don't send me like, oh, my kid sent this nude. What do you think?
A PDF.
I do get screenshots of kids sexting, and I would like to ask that people don't do that anymore, because I don't need to know the details. But no,
I want those. Send those to me. I'm curious.
But I will say, to funnel people in all the right spaces, to get software, I think we all three love Bark.
Bark Technologies.
So Bark Technologies, that's their Instagram, that's their website. That's a great place to get online monitoring, so you're not having to watch over their shoulder 24/7. For how to break down those conversations is protectyoungeyes.org or at protectyoungeyes. And then if you still have questions for me, then it's Cindy Robinson LLC on Instagram, and then the website's cindyrobinsonllc.com.
You are awesome. And Rob, how can people find you?
That's so good. And I think it's important I run WTF Divorce on Instagram, WTFdivorce.com. A lot of parents are now handling this themselves, dads especially. You got a 15-year-old daughter. Mom used to handle that. This is like on you now. So I think and you got to have conversations with your co-parents. So yeah, I think that's really important. Even if your goal is like, I'm not going to fix anything, they're going to keep doing this, but now we're talking about it, that's a good way to like give yourself a achievable goal. So yeah, I appreciate this conversation. I learned a ton. You can find me at WTFdivorce.com.
Thank you. This is an important conversation. And Cindy, as always, you just knock it out of the park. Rob, we loved having you on too.
Thank you.